Welcome to episode 252 of the Fabulously Keto podcast. And today's episode is a little bit different. It's a conversation that was originally recorded by Dr. Nayiri Mississian for her YouTube channel, Low Carb and Fasting. That aired earlier this year. And Nayiri brought two of her returning guests, Dr. JoAnn McManamy and myself. And whenever Nayiri, JoAnn, and I are in London at the same time, we try to meet up. And I'm sure you can imagine the conversation of three low carb health coaches when we get together and just talk. You can listen to my podcast with Dr. JoAnn McManamy on episode 78 and the one with Dr. Nayiri Mississian on episode 177, nearly 100 apart. I'm not reading any bios today and there's no outro, but you can check the show notes for their bios or go back and listen to those old podcasts. I hope you enjoy listening in on our three-way catch-up.
Hello, everyone. This is Nayiri from Low Carb and Fasting. Both of my guests are returning guests. I've hosted them both before, so their faces will be familiar to you. I will let them introduce themselves to you, but would like to welcome them first. Dr. JoAnn McManamy from the US and Jackie Fletcher from the UK. Welcome to Low Carb and Fasting.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you, Nayiri.
So it's going to be what health coaches talk about today. When we come together, what do we talk about? Just recorded a session with two carnivore coaches and Casey, that you both know, Casey Ruff and Stephen Thomas from the UK. So it's fun when I invite coaches together. Jackie, last time you were on my channel, you were with Maggie Stewart.
I was, yeah.
Maggie Stewart. So it's good when I bring coaches together and there's endless topics to discuss, endless. JoAnn, what's your background and what brought you to this health space?
Well, my background is very, very eclectic, from degrees in communication to an MBA, degree in psychology, and pulling it all together in kind of a hybrid doctorate from the University of Connecticut. All of a sudden, I had a health crisis, which I really could see coming for many years and ignored it. And then I showed up in the emergency ward of a local hospital a short time after I moved to Florida. And the good news is I was going to live. The bad news was that I had to have open heart surgery, a valve replacement, and 3 bypasses. I started to take myself a little bit seriously at that moment, that health was important and I better choose to do something about it. But it took a full 5 years for it all to click in. So now I'm 70 years old, still obese, and I discover low carb eating again. And the weight started coming off very, very quickly. I had been recently diagnosed with diabetes at that time as well, and that went away too. I didn't have to take any more drugs. So we're now at 2017. I'm 70 years old, and for the first time in many, many years, let's say since mid-80s, I am below 200 pounds. And I am no longer on diabetes medicine, heart medicine, plenty of that, but nothing else. And then I got very, very serious when my eyesight was threatened. And I found myself a doctor that said he could halt it, and he did. And so those have been halted. Hey, I've had to have one more visit to the cath lab, and that's about it. I have a wonderful cardiologist. I'm doing absolutely the best I can given the limitations of my body. I'd love to be off statin, but I'm at a minimum now. And I'm on 40 grams a week, 40 milligrams a week of statin. I can live with that. I don't want to fight with my cardiologist. He's wonderful. So I am healthy. Now I'm in the gym and working out. And currently I in physical therapy tomorrow for my plantar fasciitis, which I was a little too enthusiastic about moving in London. I thought I was an athlete and I was wearing flat shoes. So now I will be returning to London with the proper shoes, with lifts in them, not worrying about how I look, and probably taking fewer tubes when I go over there and more buses. So I'm doing quite well. The plantar fasciitis, I take responsibility for. I will not be that stupid again. And so I'm really pretty healthy. I'm back with my trainer, getting strong. I bought myself a massage table for my birthday, and now I can do all the exercises on the table. So no more excuses for me. So that's where I am, and just catching up and taking on new clients. And you know what's a really good introduction? Kevin's book for new clients.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful because it's simple and it explains things beautifully, and the recipes.
I interviewed, so we're talking about Dr. Jendro.
Oh, yes,
Jendro
Kevin.
interviewed him.
Yes,
And in fact, the video was released just a couple of weeks ago, so I'll put
I
the link
know.
below. And I know that Jackie also has interviewed Kevin and maybe Jackie. Well, I'll put your link below too. So
Thanks.
Yes.
can watch that. So
What a resource.
yeah, I agree with that. I think it's the simplicity. So he goes through the science, he simplifies everything, and
Yeah.
then he goes through grocery lists and
Yeah.
recipes. So it,
Yes.
it's a
And
wonderful book.
simple recipes for beginners who
Um,
don't know how to cook.
Absolutely. So before I move on to Jackie, JoAnn, so did you, so what kind of training did you do? Because you mentioned you take clients. So what kind of health coaching did you do? You did the SMHP certification?
I am just finishing up the SMHP certification, and that should be done in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Otherwise, I have to take my computer with me,
To London.
and that's heavy. And that's heavy. So
You better finish it before you come.
yeah.
Jackie. Jackie
Yeah.
is the fabulously keto podcast. All the links will be below. People go and check them out. Check her links out. Jackie, tell us about yourself.
So my low carb self.
You, tell us anything you think the audience might be interested in. What brought you to this space? I think people have a personal story that usually kind of drives them to come to this health space.
Yeah,
It's the
definitely.
heart attack for JoAnn, basically, and maybe the obesity. How about you?
Thankfully, I didn't have any major health issues like JoAnn did. Um, so my story is I've always been overweight from as far back as I can remember, even starting in what we call primary school, which will be like first grade reception. Even at that point, I was overweight, not overweight, just bigger than my friends or people that I went to school with. So I stuck out. And in those days, you really did stick out because, most people were skinny. And so I carried that all through life. My dad was extremely obese. My granddad was even more obese. His nickname was Cannon after the 70s detective.
Oh, Frank Cannon.
And that's how big he was. He wasn't as tall, but he was just massive. And so I carried that possibly, well, obviously, and I don't like thinking of it as genetics, because I don't think the genes, they might have a small influence, but they don't have a massive influence. But what happens is we take on how our families eat and how our families exercise or lack of exercise, and all those things we bring with us into our lives. And so I can remember, and I might have been maybe 10 or 11, and thinking, yes, look, I can eat as much as my dad, and I probably shouldn't have been eating as much as my dad. And so we do the things that our families did, we eat the foods that our families did, and so I carried on gaining weight. In my late teens, I was really unwell, and I eventually ended up with an operation which removed a tumor the size of a soccer ball, along with 1.5 ovaries and my appendix. And from that point, now I know that hormones completely messed up. I ballooned. So at 19, I weighed 90 kilos, which is, I don't know how much that is in pounds. So I've always carried that extra weight. By the time I was in my 30s, I think my weight had come down to about 140 pounds. But I got to the point where, what's the point of dieting? I've tried everything. So from 12 years old, when I went to Weight Watchers, done all sorts of diets all the way through. And at that point, I just thought, what's the point? Diets don't work. So I stopped dieting. And then, of course, started putting on more weight. And by the time I got into my 40s, I thought, I know what I need to do. I need to eat less and move more. But I couldn't eat less and I wouldn't move more. So I just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then probably in about 2015, 16, I probably weighed, oh, here we go. I was 15.5 stone, which is probably just under 100 kilos. And then I was in a very stressful situation. My weight ballooned. In the space of a year, I put on about 14 pounds, 7 kilos, something like that. So I ended up weighing 16.5 stone. And every night I would go to bed, and every night I would say, tomorrow's going to be different. Tomorrow I'm going to eat less and I'm going to move more. But I just carried on. I couldn't eat less and I wouldn't move more. And that permeated out into my whole life in terms of I was unmotivated. I felt like I was unmotivated. So I would tell myself I'm not motivated. I have no willpower. I can't diet. What's the point? Diets don't work. We know they don't work. And so these stories would go round in my head. And I knew that wheat was addictive because I'd read Dr. William Davis's Wheat Belly in 2009 or 2010. So at that point, I gave up wheat for about 9 months, but then went back to it. So I knew that wheat was addictive, and all I could do was eat loads of bread. That was what I was eating a lot of. And I used to drive 6 miles every day, Monday to Friday, to go and buy bread from the local baker. 6 miles there and 6 miles back. And then I'd eat a load of bread, and I'd get fresh bread every day. And then I came across a book which led me to another book, which ended up being Gary Taubes' Is Why We Get Fat. And I just changed. And a little while in, maybe a month in, I was believing that this isn't a good way, this is not right, you know, with that messaging that we've been told that fat is bad and we need carbs and all those messages that we've been told. And luckily I was on holiday with a friend of mine who's a nurse. And oh, well, she's a nurse, she was a lecturer, she was quite high up in a university at that point. And she was doing low carb and she said, no, it's absolutely fine. And I carried on. And I had come across low carb the year before, and someone talked me out of it. A doctor talked me out of it. And for me, any excuse to go back to bread and potatoes was fabulous. Somebody's telling me I can eat bread and potatoes, so I did, and that's when I started to balloon even more. So that was the start of my journey, and then I just started to feel fabulous, and mostly did keto after about 6 or 8 months. Swapped to keto, and so there became my business, Fabulously Keto.
All the links will be below. I love your podcast, and you have your Facebook links will be below as well. So what did you have to do? What certifications to become a health coach? You didn't MHP, it was something else from what I recall.
Yeah, so I have done a ketogenic certificate. I have done the Nutrition Network Advisors Program and Primal Health Coach.
Primal Health Coach, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Coming
and
back
and I'm currently studying, not that I haven't been very good recently, so I need to get back to it, with Jeff Cotterman of the National Association of Nutrition and Sports Nutrition.
Yes. Yeah, so you've got to finish that and tell me all about it, and tell me if it's worth for me as well to do that. So
I've just been so busy recently that I've had to just put it aside and just think I'll come back to it soon.
Yeah, I'm completing something different now, and it takes time. It takes commitment. It takes time. It takes money, investment, but it is a good investment. JoAnn, you mentioned eye disease, and so what was it? What eye condition was it specifically that
retinal bleeding.
Oh, retinal bleeding. So it was caused by diabetes?
It was caused by diabetes, but it was not picked up while I didn't have diabetes, and so it looked quite serious, and that just scared the hell out of me. I just did not want to go blind because there's my power, and so he halted it. I was afraid of the eye shots, to be honest. And so now I make sure I take care of my eyes. I just was there, and everything is good in that department. But I started mostly being concerned about my weight. Like I think most people, when am I going to lose the weight? Okay. Imagine 25 years ago, I am 20 stone. What do you think I am today? This is a new low.
A new low. Oh gosh.
A new low.
Okay.
Nine and a half.
In pounds or in stone?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay, so she's the converter. She's
well, no, because I know what I'd guess in pounds, but I'm guess. Go on, you go first.
Nine.
No, I'm gonna say, so if we're going in stone, I'm gonna say 9 stone 9. So about 135 pounds.
I am 139 pounds. And I have not been I hit that about 10 days ago. I broke the 140. My goal was 139 pounds, and I am 139 pounds. At least I was on Saturday when I went to the emergency room. So I am thrilled.
And I've got to say that people watching this or listening, JoAnn has lost more than half her body weight, because she was 300 pounds, and when I met you, you were 150, and now you've you've just reduced another
Yeah,
stone.
I have, I don't have to lose any more weight, and I want to keep it off. And I'm just so happy. And, among the drama on Saturday, I hit my lowest weight. I never thought I would achieve this ever. I was hanging around 145 for a while, and now I am 9.9999 stones. I mean, yeah. And
JoAnn, do you think those few pounds that you lost over the past week or two also helped with your inflammation and you're now able to walk with less pain in your feet, or what do you think?
well, I don't know what happened with the plantar fasciitis, but since I started therapy, I've lost 5 pounds. And but also I've had some really good therapy. And yeah, excellent therapy, including ultrasound, massage, do a foot scraping, and lots of lifts and this type of stuff, going across the floor and working with towels and grasping them like the crab. And I can't believe the competency of my physical therapist. It's just been amazing. And a terrific podiatrist that I lucked upon. And but it's been good. Yeah, I think everything, the inflammation, everything goes down. We'll get the blood sugar back down in a few days because of the steroids. And that'll happen. And I'm so blessed.
Interestingly, I had plantar fasciitis before I lost the weight. And as soon as I went low carb, it went away and I've never had it since. So, but you got it just recently, JoAnn, after being low carb for donkey's years.
Exactly. And in getting it at a weight of 145, but I had it. I remember being in London about 2003, and it lasted for at least 6 months.
And it's really painful.
And it was much more painful at that time. But the podiatrist said, you're going to London, let's get this kicked right out of your body so you can go and have a good time. And, young woman, so smart. I'm just so blessed to get her. And so, yep. And I had a good, yeah, and I had a wonderful birthday with my cardiologist who entered the room. This is what a class act he is, singing happy birthday to me.
Oh, that's good. Well, JoAnn, the first time I met you was at the conference in San Diego. I believe it was 2023. I think
it was 2022.
22.
Was 2022. Yeah. And you came approaching me from across the room, and you were just so lovely. I had to say yes to whatever you were asking.
I just went and sat by you, and you were the first person I spoke to as we were registering on that day. As soon as you found out I was from the UK, you told me, I've got to introduce you to my best friend, Jackie.
You, Jackie. From the UK, yes.
From the UK, and I hadn't even.
A wonderful woman must hang together.
Oh, absolutely.
But you did manage to introduce me to Jackie a few years after at the conference here in London. Now,
in Sheffield.
No, Sheffield.
We were in Sheffield, and that was 2023. That's why I know, because JoAnn says, I'm going to introduce you to Nayiri, and so she already knew you at that point. Yes,
I did.
Wow. Now you've got to share the story of how you two met. Who's going?
I think we ended up on a Zoom call for doing something called the Wolf Pack or something like that.
Exactly.
And I don't know why I got invited, and you got invited, and I said, I want to do your podcast, you're on.
Yeah, no,
It was
yeah, it
that
was,
simple.
we were fasting for 3 days, and we were on that Zoom
Yeah.
call, and you were
Yeah, on that
telling
Zoom
your
call.
story, and I just thought I need to get you on my podcast.
Yes.
That
And
was a long time ago.
I said, this is the next podcast I want to be on. And I had just done Tony Hampton's at that point. Love him. And so it was time to do another one. And I wanted to get on Tro's, and he didn't have the foresight to notice that before. And he goes, one day I was out on a Zoom call with him for my regular appointment. He said, I haven't had you on the podcast yet. I said, no, you haven't. The name
So, JoAnn, you were on my podcast. It was released in March, 3rd of March, 2022. So that was 3 years ago. Exactly.
Yes. And
then I hosted you in 2023. I remember, because we were in California. I remember recording that episode, JoAnn. It was 2023, probably late summer.
it was late summer 22.
2022. That's
22.
Yeah,
That's when I met
it
you.
would have been when you were in San
It
Diego.
took place 10 days, at least, I think it took place a week after we met in San Diego.
It was 2022 then, probably. You're right. You have better memories than I do. I'm doing too much traveling. I don't even remember my age anymore. So.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Just know you're the youngest of the three.
Yes, I'm the youngest for a change here, but yeah. All right. Jackie, tell us about some of the interesting people you've hosted on your channel.
Do you know what? I was talking with a prospective client yesterday, and they wanted could I send them some information, some general information, not my stuff. They wanted some stuff around low carb, and I sent them the link to the Fat Fiction movie. And then I listed the whole, almost all the cast of the Fat Fiction movie that I've interviewed. So I always say picking somebody is like picking out a favorite child of your children, because they're all wonderful. So I talked from doctors to nurses to healthcare professionals to pharmacists to just people who have changed their lives, and their stories are inspiring, like yours and like JoAnn's, that have just changed their lives by just taking a leap of faith and doing something different and doing something unconventional. And sometimes they've done it by themselves, and sometimes they do it with people like us, with a coach. Let me turn my printer off. And just talking to people that have just made that change, I just find is amazing. So I don't know who, I can't pick out a favorite. The ones that I really love are the ones with Belinda Fettke about the food and where nutrition comes from and how it's all compromised. I love the podcast with David Unwin, where he talks about us being animals, that we're animals. And then there's all sorts of topics, like I've had people focus on fasting, and people focus on addiction and all sorts of things. And people I just meet along the way that maybe they're not even low carb or keto. In fact, I reached out to somebody who the podcast actually released today, Dr. Nisi Moore, and I just heard about her, and she mentioned about addiction. I didn't know she was low carb, but she's actually keto, and she's been doing that for 30 years. So I just think people just have amazing stories, and I love talking to them. Oh,
yeah, I feel the same. I would never be able to pick, but the interesting thing for me is from each interview or interaction, right, with anyone I've hosted, I learn In fact, I've learned so much more than
Mm-hmm.
from all the certifications put together. Sometimes when I'm doing, I no longer do the editing, but occasionally I listen to them. Occasionally I have to step in, right? Tell my video editor what to do and which bits to cut, if any. I listen back and I go, I have to bring my notebook here. I have to start taking notes, because when you write there and then and listening, you don't take it all in necessarily. And
No.
listening back, I go, this is brilliant teaching. I wouldn't be able to put a value on it.
Yeah.
So
And
very
yeah, I
appreciative.
agree. I
Who was
agree.
your very first guest?
Say that again.
Remember your very first guest?
I remember my very first interview, but I don't think I put it out right at the beginning. Was actually Hannah Botis and what's her name? I can't think of her name. Not very good advert for memory, is it, this one? So I recorded with Hannah Botis. I now got to look it up because that's going to drive me mad.
Hannah?
And Bitter Kemper.
Oh,
That was it was number 3, so it was the first one that went out as well. But I remember recording that, and what made me laugh was Bitter was sitting in her utility, like a cupboard in her utility room, because that's where she got the best sound. And that was, we recorded that in 2019, so 6 years ago.
yeah, you started long before I did. So my very first one was Dr. Obadia, Philip Obadia, the very first one. And I remember it was lockdown. It was the COVID lockdowns, and I did it. I was here in the UK also. I was recording it on my old laptop. The sound quality was horrible. He was charming as ever. I put it out anyway, but soon after that, I invested in a new laptop. I thought, it's going out and people are watching it, so I've better do something about this. The sound quality was actually horrible. However, JoAnn, you probably know everyone. Everyone Jackie and I have interviewed. You know them, you've met them personally, you've interacted with them, you've probably consulted them for your help as well. Tell us some of your memorable sort of interactions. I know you love Tony Hampton, Dr. Tony Hampton.
No, that's a given.
Her boyfriend.
My boyfriend. Hi to his wife. Yes. And anyway, again, choosing a favorite child, but I was blown away by meeting Dr. Nasha Winters. And I was blown away meeting Wada Abdel Khadi, who I spent a lot of time with in Boca this time, and had some absolutely wonderful conversations. She is magnificent. Dave Feldman. Every time I need a break in a conference, because they pack them and I have to kind of take some breaks in there, I always find him out in the hall, being his introverted self, and just love talking to him. He is probably the classiest, most beautiful, lovely man. And Brian Lenskis, who has expanded my mind more than he'll never know, and I keep telling him that he has been doing that, for teaching me just to open my mind a lot more. And I mean, just everyone I'm so glad to meet. And of course, Kevin Gendro, and my little brother, and just a sweetheart. The kindness of most people who are at the conferences, the lack of pretension, the authenticity, the looking in your eye and speaking to them. Shoshana Rashani also of that wonderful introduction to diabetes, which is so credible. Just so many new people, you know. I always have fun there. I learn something and I am amazed with the love. Pam and Doug. Oh, they do more for us than can ever be known. And so kind and
JoAnn,
sure.
I'd like you to share one particular story, something, an incident, quite a scary one happened to you at one of the conferences. I wasn't there on that.
Yes.
I
Oh, yeah.
wasn't there that year, but you've shared that story with me. I'd like you to share.
August of 2021, my first conference that I was they were just coming out of COVID, and I went in, was talking to Chris Cornell, the wonderful video guy and everything, and all of a sudden I fainted dead away on the floor, and 17 doctors in the room.
Good place to faint, JoAnn.
You couldn't have chosen
And I
better.
fainted on carpet. So who comes immediately running over? Tony Hampton, Eric Westman. So many people I did not know at that moment. And some electrolytes were found. I was given electrolytes. I popped right back up. And one wonderful physician from Montana was the only one who got it right. And I had to wear a heart monitor. He said I'd get a heart monitor on you immediately. And as soon as I got home, Tro was on vacation, so I did not tell him. Brian Linsky says, "Oh, go find him. He doesn't need his vacation." So Brian, Brian always kind of helps me out. And so anyway, I got home and Tro put the monitor on me for 3 weeks. And in that time, I also broke a toe. Okay, so we get that all read. Tro said, "We got to get you into the cardiologist." I said, "I'm between cardiologists." I knew my current cardiologist was coming in. He also was having a major health crisis. So he said he had to take me early. They got me right up there. He said, and I had to take a stress test, which I never want to do again. I was right into the cath lab 2 days later. And we got a whole set of new pictures. They decided not to re-stent it or anything. And I had a new cardiologist and who I could trust. And it all worked out really well and was done very efficiently. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to have Tro as my doctor. He just doesn't let anything rest. He's like, at it. And he, so we got me help, and the plaques are stable and we want to keep them that way. And there was no reason to re-agitate it with another stent. So that what happened at my first conference, and that's what I'm known for. The woman who fainted.
Fainted.
And that's how she meets all the doctors.
Well, Tony, of course, said to me, "You could have just asked for another hug."
Let's talk about diet. So what's your current diet? So we've been mentioning keto, low carb, and carnivore is, Dr. Westman has been putting out so many videos emphasizing that carnivore is
Yes, he is.
branch of the ketogenic diet. So what's your current diet like? Jackie, maybe we'll start this one off with you.
really hard to explain. I would say not carnivore, but mostly carnivore. So I prioritize red meat, lamb, particularly lamb and beef. I very occasionally have, like, if my husband is making some chicken for my son, I will have one chicken thigh along with whatever I'm eating. Um, I probably, and then the sort of things that are not considered carnivore. For example, I made a meatloaf today. I put a bit of garlic and a bit of herbs in, cucumber, and at the moment I've got craving for pickled cucumbers. I need to break that. I have some chocolate, so I make my own chocolate with peanut butter. The peanut butter is 100% nuts. I also tried some with raspberries. I put raspberries in. That was really nice. So that's what I do most of the time. Sometimes I will not be low carb. So, as an example, last night my husband made some chili con carne and I had some. So it had in carrots and some kidney beans. And I've got to the point now where I don't worry too much about that because I figure, a few kidney beans are not going to kill me. Although Dr. Anthony Chaffee might say that they do, but for once a month to have a few kidney beans, I don't worry too much. So it can be more lower carb. And then if I'm on holiday, as I'm going next week, I will probably just not be low carb at all. And I just eat what I want. But what I do is I probably will I don't have breakfast. I rarely have breakfast, and if I do, it will be eggs. And then lunch will be something smaller, and then whatever the supper is, and I don't worry about it. And then when I come back, I just get back to it. So I'm going to caveat that with I can do that and I can switch between the two. And I know that when I come back, I just get back to it. I know that there's people that just can't do that.
True. Yeah. And I think, if you're metabolically healthy, you can tolerate a few carrots here and there. And because I wear a CGM, right? Where is it? Yeah, it's right here. It doesn't have much of an impact on my blood sugars anymore. But, in the beginning, when I first started this journey, it would have had more of an effect. So it doesn't affect me that much anymore. So I make stews here with even parsnips and British parsnips.
Yeah, I don't worry about it. And sometimes some days I'm not low carb at all. And I will eat bread but that might be once a month or something like that where I just do that. But I know the next day I'm back to it. And the other thing is by the end of the day, I'm back in ketosis. So I know that I'm fairly flexible. I know my arteries are totally clear. I've had them checked. My blood markers are good, except for the cholesterol, which is higher than the norm that in England. I'm comfortable with having high cholesterol. So yeah, I feel it works for me. And I think for me, it's sustainable because I can do those things and switch in and switch out. And then other days I might fast. Some days I do one meal a day. Sometimes I do 2 meals a day. I'm really mix and match.
Remind me, I want to come back to that liver recipe you posted today. I want to come back to it. JoAnn, what's your current diet like? What sorts of things do you eat?
I limit my time window for eating to between 6 hours at the most, 4 hours usually. Some days I do OMAD, some days I do two meals, but I'm constantly paying attention to how I feel because things have been changing in what I can eat. I eat lower fat than a keto or a carnivore because I'm finding too much fat upsets my stomach. So I've been going for leaner cuts of meat, like a ranch steak, which I had for breakfast today. And it was delicious. And I had it with one piece of my keto toast, which has 8 carbohydrates. It's the sourdough flavor, and I put a big pat of butter on it. And butter doesn't bother me, but it's the saturated animal fat. So I kind of did, that's what I did this morning. And then I came back from the dermatologist and I had Greek yogurt with a half a cup of blueberries. Um, and I like my berries. I always have them clothed as the glucose goddess would do, and either in cottage cheese, a very good quality cottage cheese, or Greek yogurt. And I'm finding I feel well. Everything works in my digestive system, and I sleep beautifully at night. So that's kind of, but always open for trying something new. Yesterday I had a little more and ate a little later. I had a lovely bowl of green beans. And what else did I have for dinner?
You would have had some form of protein.
I would have had some sort of, and I think it was salmon. And I do like the fish. I am staying a little lower on the fat, high on the butter, occasionally an avocado. But I don't eat a lot of vegetables. I don't eat any grains. That is like really hideous for me.
You eat your low carb bread?
I do.
What's that made of?
Want me to pull it out of the freezer? I'll show you.
I've seen it, but
Yeah. It's
I bet it's made from some sort of grain.
Well, I make bread. I don't like calling it bread, but I like bread like it kind of comes out like a bread because I make it in the bread loaf tin. Oh, let's have a look at this ingredients,
This is
people.
made in Florida. It's called base culture. But this is my favorite.
What's that one?
This is sourdough.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and I had one of those this morning, and
But what's in it? What's it made of? Come on.
okay, it's made of all nut flours. All right, I need my magnifying glass. Water, eggs, cashew butter, sauerkraut, flaxseed, psyllium husk,
Okay.
almond flour.
It's safe. It's
We'll
safe.
let you off. We'll let you off that one.
Yeah, it's really the only one that's clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said nuts, not flour, and I knew straight away it was safe. But that's
Yeah,
I'll
no
try
grain.
one in Florida next. Oh, that's the Florida one, or is that?
That's Florida. That's Florida. I can't find it in London. You can find some in Whole Foods in London, but it's too many carbs, and it's just as long as I just eat one, I'm fine.
Ask her, Nayiri, ask her to bring some next week when she comes.
I will be glad to bring some.
Yeah, we can share. You can give. We're meeting next week, so
yes, but you must toast it. It does not taste well not being toasted. But yes, I'll bring you a sampling of 3 flavors.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you.
Yes, it'll survive the trip.
Yeah.
It will be thawed by the time you get it because I always have to have a refrigerator in my hotel room. So let's just hope it survives a week. So yes, and yeah. You're on, women. I'm writing it down on my list now. Anything else you would like?
Actually make bread like something. I don't like calling it bread, but it's high protein. It's basically butter, melted butter, eggs, and coconut
Yeah.
flour.
Yeah.
And
Why
very
not?
little impact on my blood sugar. In fact, it has close to zero impact on my blood sugar. So, and I bake it in a loaf kind of tin, and it comes out like bread, and you can slice it like bread. But I don't really like calling it bread because it doesn't taste like bread.
This has the crunch.
This has, yeah. I mean,
The
I can
crunch.
toast that with halloumi cheese over it. I can put it under the grill or whatever. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's good. I've got 3 flavors in the fridge now, and
I tend not to do any bread, unless I'm gonna eat a bagel that my mom has that comes from the bagel bakery here in North London. Unless I decide to just not worry about and go off plan, I tend not to eat bread. But sometimes what I will do, and not very often, maybe a couple of times a year, is make some chaffles out of egg and mozzarella cheese. And then that works quite well as a bread.
yeah.
Yeah, there are so many options out there. If someone is committed, you really won't miss out on anything. I'm telling you. I mean, there are so many options. Jackie, you posted liver, how you bake the liver and then you freeze it. So take us
I
through.
don't bake it. I don't bake it. So
Oh, so you don't bake it raw liver?
no,
Liver.
I'm quite happy eating liver. And I tend to freeze it in small packs of 100 grams. But what I've been doing recently, so I had a sheep delivered today, and they send you quite a lot of liver. So I freeze some as 100-gram portions that I will put with something else, but then I take some of it and I cut it into tiny, tiny amounts, cubes, raw, and then I lay it out separately on something that will go in the freezer. And when we finish recording, I'm going to go and take it from the freezer and then just put it in a plastic container that will stay in the freezer. And then as and when I remember, ideally it should be every day, but it isn't every day, I will take one little cube and I will just put it in my mouth like a tablet and drink the water, drink it, swallow it with water. And I've had my liver dose for the day.
They sell that in the supplement stores as well. It's the desiccated liver. I think the desiccated is dried out, but again, it's not, none of it is cooked. So you
Yeah,
can
it's not cooked,
follow it
and
with
but this is liver. This came from the sheep from the farm today, and it's not processed. Yes, you can spend a fortune buying offal tablets, but how much does a piece of liver cost you? £1 or two? I don't know. So it's cheap, and I know it's not about being cheap. It's about eating real liver. So I just cut it up small, but like I say, I'm quite happy to eat liver. I quite like it, but I don't always remember to take it out. So when I remember, I just take a little bit and I have it. So I might have it a few times a week rather than once every few weeks.
So I recently wanted to try liver. I've been wanting to try liver for a long time. I have never eaten liver, or any organ meats for that matter. And because, I only started eating meat after 30 years of being vegetarian. I only started a few years ago. It was during the lockdown. So it's not been a long meat eating journey for me. So still, haven't advanced to liver eating kind of level. But I told my husband, I've been telling him, if we see good liver and then we look at it at the supermarket, I go, oh no, I don't think I can chew that. So he convinced me. He said, look, what if I cut it up into tiny pieces? And then I said to him, well, if you can do that, I just want 1 tablespoonful of it to mix into the ground mincemeat, like ground beef that I was cooking on that day. So I wouldn't be able to taste it or feel the texture or even smell it for that. Not that it had no smell. So we did that, and I was just proud of myself because I actually made a large meal, and it was such a tiny quantity. But the amazing thing was it had the most incredible effect in my eyesight. We were sitting here in the
Really? Yeah.
we were eating. As I was eating, I kept telling my husband, because I have, unfortunately, I have early, like the beginnings of diabetic maculopathy.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's just, I don't see the lights. Everything is, I have to turn big headlights on to be able to see well, right? So I'm telling my husband, has the sun come out? And we're looking out. It wasn't a sunny day. It was gray skies. And I'm feeling like there's light in my eyes. I couldn't believe. I kept like checking the lights. The lights were off. I couldn't believe. I went and washed my face. I felt the entire time as I was eating, like big flashlights were lit in my eyes. It was
Wow.
so miraculous, something I have never experienced before. Then I picked up my phone, and these are my reading glasses, right? Without my reading glasses, I picked up my phone and I was able to see the text clearly. I could not believe. I wrote straight away to Dr. Chris
Kenobi.
Chris
I
Kenobi,
messaged
yeah.
him. I said, you wouldn't believe, because he obviously talks about AMD as well, age-related
Age-related macular
maculopathy, but mine
degeneration.
is obviously not age-related, it's diabetic. Yeah, he said it was probably the vitamin A in it, the bioavailable vitamin A, or it could have been any of the nutrients, but he was very pleased to hear that. So it was unbelievable experience. I mean, I couldn't believe it myself. I shared it with my mom, and I mean, if someone shared a story like that with me, I'd go, well, maybe they're
Yeah.
imagining, maybe they're. I'm telling you, I wasn't imagining. It was an experience. I couldn't believe in it myself. I kept checking the window. It was gray, grayest day ever outside. There was no sunlight. The lights weren't on, and yet there was this brightness in my eyes. I couldn't believe.
So I would say get a good piece of lamb from a butcher or somewhere where you know that it's the animal's been well looked after. Or maybe even Waitrose, where they have a more humane way of killing their animals. And then just make tiny little bits. You could have a bit every day and see if it makes a difference. Because it's you don't taste it. It's just like taking a tablet. You know, you swallow a paracetamol. Not that I have paracetamol, but you do that and you wouldn't taste it. It's so easy. You just have to cut it small enough that it doesn't catch on your throat because it's frozen. It's a bit rough when you freeze it. But even if it does, you just drink more water and it'll go.
I think that's something I can do. It's just that chewing.
Yeah, you don't have to chew it,
But the
nothing.
way I had it, it was good. I couldn't even taste it.
And I don't know if you noticed, someone posted that they grate the liver into the mincemeat or the ground beef. But yeah, I'm quite happy eating a piece of it, and it doesn't bother me.
Interesting. Any other organ meats any of you have tried?
You didn't have my mother.
I never used to like liver as a kid. My mum would make it, but she didn't make me eat it. She never made me eat it. But
My mother
as I
made
got
me
older,
sit at the table till it was done, and I just out-stubborned her.
Oh,
well done you. So I've had kidney, I have had beef heart. In my pack today, I got a lamb's heart. I need to work out what I need to do with that. I think you have to braise it. What other things? I have tasted sweetbreads. I think I've tasted brain as well many years ago, like 40 years ago. It's not something that I fancy doing again now. But
so organ meats, in fact, every part of the animal. I mean, I remember because I grew up with my grandparents' home in the Middle East, across the Mediterranean, and it was very common for people to eat every part of the animal, including the intestines. And they were like, couldn't bear the smell. I didn't like them. And I remember one day there was this fried, it looked like a meatball, but it was fried with breadcrumbs all around it. My mother said, would you like it to try? It was just one that size, like a round, just like a tennis ball, right? You know what it is.
I know what you're going to
Would you like
say.
to try? Would you like to try a piece? And she put a piece in my mouth, and it kind of tasted. It was soft, and there was the breadcrumbs on the outside. And she said, "It's do you like it? It's brain." And I remember like running to the bathroom and spitting it all out because I just couldn't. It kind of hit me that it was brain, but I was very young. I remember that was my one and only experience with brain. But yeah, I grew up with in a culture where people ate every part of the animal. Yeah, unfortunately, it's now people, they don't want this part, that part, but I think it's a good message when we tell people, look, just honor the animal. And I appreciate that you're buying like the whole animal.
I
It
think
comes
it's
with
I
the
think it's the
liver,
whole
it
I think
comes
it's
with-
the whole animal because it comes already in packs of everything. But it looks like there's two legs, two shoulders,
yeah.
chops, all different bits, mince, lamb, the
I
heart. I think I've got kidney. Yeah,
mentioned in your newsletter, today's newsletter, was it today or
it
yesterday?
was. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I read it. I read it. I read Jackie's newsletter. So you mentioned the story of how you got into buying the whole animal. Would you like to share that?
Yeah. So as in the whole email. So
Yeah, because you met someone and then
yeah, so I've been doing this podcast. So although I did the first recording in 2019, we didn't actually release the first podcast till October 2020. So I've been podcasting since then until recently. So in the last 6 weeks, I've been doing it every other week, but up until then, it's every week we've done a podcast. And I went on low carb MD with Tro um and Brian, and this man emailed me and said, I heard you on the low carb MD podcast, and I think I heard you on another podcast, UK low carb podcast. And I live locally, and I have been doing this way of life, keto, for 18 months. And I'm thinking of becoming a PHC ambassador. And I noticed that you're an ambassador and wondered if I can ask you some questions. So we had emails backwards and forwards. And then in that summer, I met him at a keto festival where I was manning the PHC stand. And since then, he lives around the corner. He lives 10 minutes away from me. And we've become friends, mostly on text. We send messages backwards and forwards. I would say we did it almost every day until I started my Fabulously Me membership group, which he helps support. And now we have a smaller, separate WhatsApp group. I won't go into that because it's a bit controversial. But anyway, so we message more on there now rather than just him and I. But he comes from Wales, and he would go backwards and forwards and see his dad, who unfortunately passed away last year. And then he was going back to look after his dad's house, but he came across a farm that was willing to sell him a sheep. And he told me about it, and I said, oh, next time you order a sheep, can you order me one? So we got one, I think it was in October, and then they said they had some beef coming. Did I want some? So I took some beef in December, and then there was an opportunity to buy another sheep that came today.
what a
So
fabulous story. What a
What
fabulous story. Have you
such an
tried any of those buy a part of a cow or half a cow or something? Because I think those schemes exist in the US, right?
Yeah, they do. I've just found a local organic farm, but it's very, very expensive. I do very well. I was ordering something called Butcher Box, but then the meat got too tough. There weren't enough steaks in it. And I don't like roasts so much because I have to cook them too done. I like rare meat. And then I got good chop, which was a little bit better. I still have some of that, but they were too difficult to change the orders. And so I suspended with that. And now I'm sourcing at the farmer's market. Buy nice things like culotte steaks, which are like a ribeye, and I'll buy at Costco or BJ's or any of the clubs. I'm able to get good fish at Costco. No, but not supermarket meat, really. No.
So another thing that so I go and listen to some talks that they do. It's about half an hour drive from where I live every couple of weeks, and there's a lot of people, like-minded people, and apparently there's a farm not far from there, and if we're willing to put down a deposit, we can buy a section of a cow and then they will grow the cow for us. So I've said I want I think I've booked a quarter of a cow or something like that. So and then they'll grow it. They said it takes about 3 years. But so we pay a deposit and then we'll pay the rest when the cow goes to slaughter. So
It's good to see these schemes going, and more accountability and more of the customers being able to find where the meat comes from. I like that. In fact, I like knowing where my vegetables or the fruits come from too. Any last minute statements you'd like to make before we wrap this up?
no, I don't think so. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time.
Yes, absolutely. And I can't wait to fly over and hopefully get sleep on the plane.
Sleep on the plane, you'll be fully awake for us, and we'll have
Of course I will.
nice lunch or breakfast somewhere. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your day and your evening, Jackie.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Disclaimer. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Our guests, whether healthcare professionals or not, are sharing their personal opinions and experiences. This does not establish a doctor-patient relationship. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before making changes to your medications, treatment, or lifestyle, particularly if you're on medication or have concerns about your health.